Hello there, guys. This is Solid Shepard bringing you another video. And as you can see, I kind of have a little bit of a different setup. I actually finally got around to ordering a microphone arm. As you can see here, I'm swinging it around a little bit. And the reason for that is because in the past, I have, and hopefully I didn't make too much annoying noise. I don't know how that works if I move the arm during a video. But basically, so I can have the microphone closer to my face for better audio. What you guys might not have known is up until now, I've had my microphone about 2 or 3 feet away from me, really. So, like, in order to record and have my voice close, I would have to get, like, bend over like this to be close to it. Now, I did have one of them portable, like, recording studios, like the fold-out one that you put around a microphone, and that's what I've been using. So I do lose that, but obviously we still have the pop filter here. And then if you look at the microphone, we got the, I don't want to touch it really because it's going to make weird noises. I still got that, wind, I think it's a wind right? Foam? I don't know the name of it exactly. I'm not a genius on all things. So, yeah, but with it being closer, it doesn't sound like my voice doesn't have to carry to it, so it should have crisper sound. So we'll see. I think it should end up being better though. Another thing I want to touch on before we get started to, today's actual, like, what the video is for, is you guys might have noticed I didn't do any more episodes of the WWE thing, and the reason for that is because I actually recorded the Raw one on Wednesday, but it only got, like, into, like, the second match, I think, and then the recording was just black. And it would, like, if I went back to watch it on, like, the Windows Media Player, it was just darkness. It was just black. It had audio, but there was no video. And on my editing software, it would cause it to crash anytime I got past that point. So I kind of just decided to make that, like, a one-off thing. I might go back to it eventually, but it might have just been because, well, I don't know. Maybe it was so long, the file got so big that it caused issues with during the recording, because it is like 3 hours long. I don't know. But anyways, so it was something new. We tried out, just like we're trying something new today. I think this one's going to stick a little bit better, though, because I don't foresee any real issues with it. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. I didn't forget about it. It's not that I didn't upload it. It's just I had some serious issues with it. So that series, unfortunately, is not really going to happen. It's not going to continue. Okay, so with today's today's show, new series, whatever you want to call it. I'm kind of rambling now. I decided that I really wanted to get back into comic books. I was like, you know what? Let's do, like, reviews or something along those lines. And so I kind of read basically Amazing Spider-Man from where I left off. I think it was like 790, 788, 89, somewhere around that range. And I read it all the way up until where we're at right now. I actually had the physical copy of it somewhere, but 799. And as you can see, I want to talk about things I noticed that kind of show foreshadowing, and why I think maybe Dan Slott was saving to bring the marriage back, or at least the relationship with Peter and Mary Jane Watson, MJ, for those of us who are fans. Why he might have been saving it for now, for, like, the end of his run, the last story, because, so obviously for issue 800 or 801. And the reason why I say that, and people are like, oh no, he said he's never bringing it back, Marvel's never bringing it back. Well, first of all, he was involved with, obviously, writing and all that, Renew Your Vows. So he's written them back together since. But also, if you remember Superior Spider-Man, he said Peter wasn't coming back. We need to get used to Octo Spidey, basically, which was basically just him trying to throw us off, so we'd be surprised, whenever Spidey did come back, even though I think most of us really knew deep down inside that he was going to come back. So keep that in mind. So I was reading it, and that's what today's video is. I want to touch on the things that I noticed, basically. He might be saving his best thing for last. But before we get there, there is one thing I wanted to notice. 791. Oh my god, that was like the most cringiest thing I've ever read. And I really didn't want to touch to it too much, but I got a screen cap from just this one line that I want to talk about here. From his, at the time, girlfriend, Mockingbird, aka Bobby. Okay, so we're looking at this here. I don't know, you can read this. Basically, they were saying that the voice of these androids or whatever, the male setting wasn't working. They were saying the male setting wasn't working, kept on defaulting female. And she said, and that's a problem? Wouldn't a robot with a male setting be a step backwards? And first you're going, okay, and for those who don't know, she is the superhero who famously on the cover of one of her comics wore the shirt that said, "Ask me about my feminist agenda." That's her. She's a third wave feminist character. We're not really gonna get into politics here, too heavy. But, so, I will call, like, I guess double standard here, bullshit or whatever on this. But she says, "Hello, Siri, Alexa." Okay, keep that in mind. The two versions that exist really are, I mean, I'm sweating a lot. My air in my apartment's not working. So I'm sorry about that. If you keep on seeing me go like this, it's because I am sweating profusely, especially with these lights on. It's hot. Anyways, yeah, she says, "Hello, Siri, Alexa. Do we really want to be the company that's suppressing a woman's digital voice? Please." How are you suppressing a woman's digital voice? First of all, it's not. Well, it turned out it was real. If you want to know any of that about that, just read the comic. Although I don't suggest it, because, like I said, it's cringy. This isn't the only time some feminist stuff was thrown in there. But you also have the situation where you just admitted that the two voices of AIs that exist are women. There's no men. There's none that are default men. Any that do exist are like GPSs and stuff that give you the option to choose between the two. There's no one that is a man, There's no Bill, There's no Bill from Android. Like, it doesn't exist. So you're basically saying that third wave feminism is not about equality, is about women's superiority, because you've already got the two. So now you want there to be the three. You just don't want men in it at all. Is basically what this is saying. I don't even think they realize that's what they wrote in here, but like, that's some. I hate saying this, and I'm saying this as a joke, just so everyone knows. Okay, I'm not being serious when I say this, because I think it's cringy when people say this seriously. But that's some Nazi ass shit. Okay, that's like female master race, some ass shit. Like, you don't want men to be equal. You want to be better than men, obviously. This is one thing where men have not really been in. Not like it matters. It's a voice to a freaking device. It's whatever. But still, it's the context. So I just wanted to talk about that. Because that really grinded my gears. So I really wanted to talk about that. Okay. So moving on. So I got some other screen captures. And I just want to kind of show them. And talk about them, and these were things as I was leading up. And I think Dan Slott's foreshadowing here. Okay, first we have here. Now I don't remember exactly which issues I got all these out of, so I apologize, but it's around between 790 and 799. Obviously, they are all in that time span. But here we have Spider-Man like chasing someone down. And the only reason why, this one made me think at first, because the song, I mean, most people know this song. I'm not gonna read it out. You can see it on the screen, but it's like "Rain on Your Wedding Day." Why are they talking about wedding? Like, why is he and he says, "Focus, Spidey." Why is he thinking about even if it's just a song, why was that the song he chose to choose? I don't know, it was weird. And why was that the line from the song? There was others, lines from the song he could have sang, same song or other songs that he could have been. I don't. It's weird. Like that's what really got me thinking. Wait, why? Like it planted a seed in my head. Okay, moving on. And then we have this scene where, spoiler alert, well, you know what? No, I'm not gonna. I don't have to give anything away there. Basically, how do I say this? You know, I'm just gonna say Doctor Strange. For anyone who's read it knows the truth, and I know the truth, obviously. But just for anyone who doesn't want to be spoiled, I'm just gonna refer to this person as Doctor Strange. Okay, so he offers, because he owes Peter, Spider-Man, a favor. So he offers to turn back time, and Spider-Man's like, this thing always comes with a cost. That thing always comes with a cost. So this right here, where he says, yeah, well, I can't, because then he's like, well, I'm not a god, or I'm a god, I'm not a person, because Spider-Man said every time someone's offered him something like that, any man has offered him something like that, it has costed him something. And that's really referring to the new Clone Saga, the Clone Conspiracy, which just happened, where they, Ben Reilly came back and he promised that he could bring Uncle Ben back and all that. But then Doctor Strange basically said, well, this guy said, I'm not a man, I'm a this. Because I don't want to say it, because if I say the word, it's going to heavy evidence of who it is for anyone who hasn't read it yet and doesn't want to be spoiled. He said, I'm not a man, I'm a this. I am a this. I'm a this. And then he's like, yeah, well, I can't break the feeling that at some point I said yes to an offer from someone like you, or something. I'm trying to read it, but my eyes are terrible from the screen, and lost something important because of it. And obviously, anyone who's read One More Day, which, yes, I put it there for a reason in the background, as the first, the cover is the first thing there, knows what this is about. But then they show the picture of Mephisto, and this isn't spoilers at this point. It's been years, over a decade since this happened, and it's sad that if they do finally fix it, it's sad that it's taken this long. But basically, for those who don't really read the comics, and I'm probably saying Mephisto's name wrong. I don't really know how to say his name. I've never actually heard it said correctly from someone who actually writes. I think he's a Silver Surfer villain. I might be wrong about that. But basically, after Civil War, Peter Parker revealed himself, because at first he was Tony Stark. And this is just for people who are only interested in the movies and stuff. But partway through, Spidey changed his mind. He went back on it. And he switched sides to Captain America's side. Now, unfortunately, he had already given away his secret identity, so people like the Kingpin were after him. And he hired a hitman, and Peter moved at the last second. His hitman shot his basically sniper rifle. I think it was a sniper rifle. It doesn't matter. And missed Peter because he had just moved the last second, but not Mary Jane, Aunt May was right behind him. And Aunt May got shot. So Mephisto basically showed up. It was funny because during the whole One More Day arc, you actually, early on, you had a scene where Jesus came and visited Peter and was like, look, he brought him to this beach, this figurative beach, and it's like, look at all the people's lives you've saved and affected. And it was just countless people on this beach. But then he also met his daughter before she was born. And then Mephisto basically he came to him and said, hey, look, you have one more day to make a decision, and I'll make you a choice. And Mephisto's pretty much the devil, as you can tell from the picture there. He was like, okay, I can save your Aunt May, but in return, I want your marriage to Mary Jane to where it never happened. And basically, he couldn't make up his mind. He went and talked to Mary Jane about it. Mephisto shows up, and they're both there. And Mary Jane makes the decision for him because it's being like, I know that we love each other so much that somehow, some way, we'll still find our way back to each other, whatever, which still hasn't happened. So that was all fluff, but it was an emotional moment though. It was good. It was a good writing, a good line. And it's hot in here. So basically, sorry, I'm doing this video like all on the top of my head. But yeah, Mary Jane said that. But of course, while they were trying to like go back and forth or whatever, Mary Jane and Peter basically asked him, why are you doing this? And Mephisto basically said, because your love is a pure one, like a once in every 100 years type thing. And I want to deny him that. And when he says him, he means God, Jesus, the guy who was talking to him on that figurative beach that I just mentioned earlier. So this was like a game between those, basically God and the devil, basically. And Peter and MJ's marriage was caught in the middle. And unfortunately, that's what happened. And people hate that storyline, me, myself included. Marvel would get so many readers back on, just for, from bringing those two back together. Spider-Man used to be like it, man. Like Batman over in DC. Like, it just sold. I mean, it still does sell, but like half their reader base dropped the book after one more day. People loved, the MJ and Peter Parker connection. And really, Spider-Man hasn't been the same since. And really, some, screenshots I will show later. But when Peter and MJ finally kind of meet back up again in this storyline, I felt like I was reading old Spider-Man again. Like, Peter is just a different character when he has MJ to fight for. And it's not just having people to fight for, because he has Aunt May, and, he's been in a relationship with Carly Cooper, and Bobby, who we were just talking about, the blonde hair girl, the feminist chick, and a few others. And so he's had relationships, and, and he has people he cares about, and family and stuff. But it's not Mary Jane. Like, they worked together so well. It was just like old times whenever they came back together. So yeah, that's the whole backstory of all that. Moving on to the next panel. I might have to start moving a little faster with each panel because I am sweaty as hell. Okay, so now we have this. This is whenever they first meet up again. It's at a science demonstration. And, I mean, look at this chemistry. Like, just to read this little thing right there. And then just look at how the artists, their body language and everything. They still love each other, obviously. And obviously, they both still have something in the back of their head of what used to be. It's just, like, foggy, and staticky and all that. Because Peter said, like, oh, I have the feeling that I made a deal once. So he can't put his finger on it, but, But they still have that chemistry. And it was, like I said, when this scene happened, suddenly, I smiled. I had a true smile. I was like, oh my gosh. My eyes watered a little bit. I didn't cry. My eyes did water a little bit. Like, I was like, yeah, like, this is the Spider-Man I love. He's my favorite superhero. So, moving forward, then we have this scene here after the skirmish that eventually happened at the science demonstration. Because let's be honest, Spider-Man science demonstration, something's going to go wrong. Spider-Man, he's going to have to run off for Spider-Man. And actually, before this, I didn't get the screen here, but MJ actually pretends like she's calling Iron Man, which everyone obviously knows who reads the comic books right now. Iron Man wasn't going to take that call. Like, that wasn't going to happen. But it was a distraction, so everyone focused on her. It would enable Peter to be able to run away and get into the suit. But yeah, you see here in this panel, she goes for again because this lady works with Peter, and it is. I'm sorry, I just hit the microphone. I'm going to get used to this arm. But this lady works with him at the Daily Bugle, because he's back to Daily Bugle, but this time as a reporter. or an editor actually, of the science section. That's why they were at the, the science display and all that. She's waiting for him because she's like, "Oh, we're gonna miss the bus." And Peter's like, "Oh gosh, I gotta come up with something," because he sucks at coming up with excuses. He's gotten himself in so much trouble with his poor excuses. But then MJ just comes right in, and it was like, "Oh, I asked Peter, to do this. We need to catch up and everything." And look at Peter's expression. Just look at it. That's how I felt. Like, I swear to God, my eyes. I had the same eyes. I was like, "Oh my gosh." They're back a little bit at least. Like, oh, it's awesome. And then, of course, you can read what he's saying. Like, she just steps in. He's basically like, she just steps in, after all these years, and it just doesn't skip a beat, She's like perfect, basically. So then there's this one. Obviously, Peter shows up because I guess she picked up his clothes, so he shows up to get his clothes from her. Um, and they basically said some stuff, and it's like, hey, I said old habits, not bad ones. Have to admit, I kind of missed this. And then Peter says afterwards, I really did too. And I mean, like, just look at the face. They obviously try to draw it like, they're all really happy and everything. And then we go on to the next comic book. And look at that picture right there. That's like vintage Spider-Man. Like, we haven't seen that in forever. We haven't seen that in forever. There's no real dialogue to talk about here. It's just now she ends up unbuttoning his shirt and she sees the Spider-Man outfit under there and she just can't do it. Basically, uh, that's just something she's going to get over. But I mean, she's been working with Iron Man. Like, I feel like she's getting more used to being around superheroes again. And this is why I think it is. I think they're trying to ease it in. They're not trying to do it right away. There's supposed to be a payoff. There's supposed to be some complications as we get to it. But they got to this point, where they were basically like, we're gonna be, be together again or whatever. Uh, she just gotta, she just has to get over, I mean, she works for Iron Man, and Iron Man's open. Tony Stark lets everyone know he's Iron Man, So I'm just saying, like, I think she'll get over it. She's had enough time working with a known superhero and all that. I think they'll be able to be more okay with it. She just doesn't know that yet. Uh, and anyone who knows what's going on, there's one of Spider-Man's biggest villains is back, and it's got a big power up. He got the Mario mushroom, and Peter's having to deal with it. Uh, yeah, it's tough, and he's gonna use one of their loved ones, and he was actually spying on Peter, and he actually saw him leave here. So I have a feeling we're gonna have another vintage. I can't say situation because if I say where I think it's gonna end up being at again and all that, it'll give away who I'm talking about. The villain. Everyone who's ever watched the movies or anything will know who I'm talking about. But yeah, pretty good. It's pretty good. And then the last one right here is basically after she says, I can't do it. Uh, Spider-Man has this little inner monologue and everything, and she's like, sorry, Peter. But she's still staring at him, right? As he goes away, like she used to, when they were together and everything. So, yeah, you might be like, oh, well, she said no, so that means it's not going to happen. Come on, we know it's not going to be the end of it, especially if they're going to show her doing that. And if you take away the dialogue here, you would swear that this was a comic book, an issue, and then, before One More Day. You would swear this was a pre One More Day story. Because at an old time where Peter had to go save the day and MJ looks off at him, being, go get him, Tiger, all that. That's what this looks like. If you take away the bubbles. So I think she's going to get there, but I think they're trying to save it as a payoff thing. Slott wants his last hoorah to be basically that. Now, I don't know if they are going to undo One More Day or if they're just going to have them naturally start to date again and then eventually they get married again, but naturally. technically, since One More Day undid the marriage, it'd be marriage for the first time. So I don't know if they're going to go down that route. That's going to be up to Nick Spencer if Slott doesn't undo the marriage, because you can't have them just get married this quickly. Naturally, if you don't undo it, they have to date for a while. So we'll see. Hopefully Spencer does a good job and lets them stay together, and he writes the relationship good. But I think this is where Slott's going. I think Slott wants to get them back together as his last thing. All signs to me seem to point that direction, especially with him breaking up with Mockingbird. Those two broke up right before MJ got back into the picture. Like right before. Or was it? No, it was like right after. It was right around the same time. So Peter becomes available, and then that happens. They bring MJ back, and now this certain villain is back. And I swear to God, a lot of people hate on Slott. And I do too. Don't get me wrong. I don't think Slott's a good writer. I don't think he fully understands the Spider-Man character, especially not the Peter Parker character. But when he does get it right, he gets it really, really right. Examples. I know it was borrowed from the freaking 90s cartoon, but still I enjoyed it. Spider-Verse. But then you have Spider Island was good. Superior Spider-Man was really good. Like, when he gets it right, he gets it right. And I'm going to tell you, right around the time when Peter got his job back at the Bugle, I swear every panel I read started feeling more and more and more as I went on, and more like Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man, like the real book, like before it got destroyed from One More Day. Spider-Man's never been the same since then. But then, like, this certain villain, and how he, especially these last few issues, this certain villain who is back, and what he's been doing. He's a big part of, vintage Spider-Man. And then you got, Peter and MJ, obviously, and gosh, it's been a treat. Hopefully this kind of Spider-Man is here to stay. But yeah, definitely I think Dan Slott saved his best stuff for last. I don't know why he wanted to save the marriage for if this is what he's doing for this late. I don't know why he would do that. Go ahead and put this away. But I'm hyped. I've been waiting. Fuck. It's been over 10 years since it happened. And they kind of promised, like MJ alluded that they would be able to find each other again. So you've been waiting for it to happen. It's got to happen eventually. They're one of the most popular couples in comics. But maybe the most. Honestly, they might be the best the best couple, man. Even better than Superman and Lois Lane. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say, though. Obviously, Mary Jane will still be in the Iron Man comic books, but she's not really a love interest anyways. She worked for him, so... Sorry, I keep on messing with my hair here. It's sweaty. It's really hot. So yeah, she's still going to be an Iron Man. Like, that's going to be her day job. That's going to be her job, basically. So while she's working, she's going to be an Iron Man. But, when she's off work, she'll probably be with Peter. And that'll obviously actually make it easier for Spider-Man and Iron Man to have some crossovers, too. Because I'll have one character who will be heavily involved in both books. Obviously, and Slott's been writing Spider-Man for a while, for 10 years. And, so there will be a connection where it'll be real easy for him and Nick Spencer to work together to coordinate with the Mary Jane character. So I really think this is happening. Now, as of the date of the video, issue 800 hasn't come out yet. So anything can happen. I could be completely wrong. Because whereas I did say at the beginning of the video, he did say over and over again, Peter's never coming back during Superior. But then guess what happened? Peter came back. But then again, he's also given us false breadcrumbs before. In the case of MJ and Peter, and then not going anywhere. Like, for instance, they were about to seriously start dating again right around the time, right before Superior happened, but then Ock killed Peter and took his body, so. And then Ock destroyed the relationship. he destroyed it. So he's done this before. But since this is the end of his run, I don't see him doing it again. And maybe all those false breadcrumbs weren't really false. They were just setting up for a end game payoff. Because he wants us to feel the ups and downs, maybe almost like we were actually a part of the relationship. Almost, maybe that's his plan. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, this is something I really wanted to talk about, and I hadn't put a video out for like a week. So I was like, you know what? I just got the ARM installed. Let's kind of test it out. Could talk some comic books, with a new series that will actually hopefully be sticking this time. Hopefully there won't be any difficulties. And I plan on doing some comic book reviews. Also, I'm buying physicals again. I had to buy digital for all but the $7.99 because I'm not going to go in for comics I'd actually avidly have read. And if I want to get caught up, I'm not going to go and track down all the physical books or overpay on Amazon for them for people scalping, I'm just going to buy the digital. But from here on out, basically, for stuff I start on and going forward, I'm doing physical. So I'll be here. I'll have a physical comic to do a review with on videos. So that's going to be a thing. More video game stuff, obviously. God, I really wanted to live stream tonight, but God, it's hot, man. I can't keep these lights on. I gotta turn them off. I don't know why my air's not working. I gotta talk to the apartment people about that. Anyways, guys, thank you. And my camera's going out of focus. There we go. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. As always, it's been Solid Shepard. Until next time, I should go.